Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Game of Gymnastics podcast. This week I'll be going into the scoring of gymnastics, the E-score, D-score, and the basics of what you need to know, and even some things that I didn't know going into the research of this episode. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Game of Gymnastics podcast. This week I'm going to be talking to you about scoring, the code of points, that sort of stuff. Basically how scores are put together in gymnastics, whether it be final score, difficulty score, execution score. There are lots of different parts and I'll explain them all individually and how they're tied together. All this stuff will have been covered, well, I have covered in a book that I've written called The Game of Gymnastics, Understanding the Game. So it was just a little project of mine that I put together because I wanted this podcast to be about people really understanding the sport. People watch it every 4 years and it's all well and good, but no one really understands what's going on behind it. Like casual fans don't understand what's going on behind it. But I also wanted to give a little bit of information that maybe will refresh like gymnasts themselves, coaches. There are things in this book that I didn't know before that I've learned just from writing it. So if you are interested, if you are a fan of gymnastics or you want to become more acquainted with the sport, then do check it out. I put a lot of time into it. It would mean a lot to me if you would check it out. Link will be in the description of the show notes. So yeah, that's just a bit of a preamble, and all the stuff I cover today will be in the book. Not to say don't listen to this podcast or vice versa, don't buy the book. But this will be just sort of a basic knowledge, so maybe get you to grasp it a little bit better, but tracking in a few of the bits and pieces that I found interesting when writing it. But then the book will have more to it, a bit more of a base of knowledge. I will say that it's kind of surface level, kind of not, because it doesn't go into like the actual practical applications of it to an extent. It doesn't talk about what you have to do in the gym to get the scores. It will just tell you what you have to do in the competition to get the scores. That's sort of what we're looking at. So that's the best I can sum it up. In the book, technically, there are 9 chapters, if you want to call it. So there are 3 in part 1 and 6 in part 2. The 6 in part 2 are just the apparatus: floor, pommel rings, vault, parallel bars, and horizontal bar. And then the 3 in part 1 is scoring, which we're going to go into today, competition formats, which will be a future episode, and routine construction, which again will be a future episode. I'm going to cover all of these sections in the podcast, but again, more surface level than it is in the book. And then if you want a deeper dive, if you are more interested in any of these parts, really, I would suggest you check out the book. So that's all the preamble done. We're just going to get straight into scoring. So a bit of an overview. Obviously, as mentioned, there are 6 apparatus in men's artistic gymnastics. Again, I'm just going to be talking about men's artistic in this. Well, for one thing, that's the thing I know best. I didn't write about anything else. If you do want me to cover like women's artistic or another discipline like acro or rhythmic or tumbling, I can. I will just need more help to write it because I don't understand it personally. I can get some of my mates from in the gym, outside the gym, all that sort of stuff, to help me write those sorts of books, if you are interested. And there's even more I can go into with MAG as well, men's artistic as well. So training, nutrition, psychology, all that sort of stuff. So again, if you're interested in that side of things, then do let me know in comments. So 6 apparatus in men's artistic gymnastics. 2 parts of the score, D-score, E-score. No, 2 main parts of the score is D-score and E-score, but then there's also penalties and stick bonus. So technically 4 parts. Stick bonus is very easy to understand. Applied by the D jury and made certain it is implemented by the D1 judge. And it's just a 0.1 bonus if you stick the dismount. E jury is strictly for execution. That's the only thing they do. D jury do a lot more. They cover penalties. They cover, obviously, the difficulty, and they also cover the stick bonus. And the D1 does even more than that. So they have a lot of responsibility, those judges, which is something I go into a lot more detail on in the book. Yeah, again, so difficulty, execution. Execution starts from time and goes down. Difficulty starts from 0, goes up. That's the long and short of it. So when a score is tied, execution is favoured. This is in apparatus. In all around, there's a very specific type of rule. Either look it up or look in the book. But the D jury in general cover penalties, connection values, element group requirements, and stick landing bonus. Then I cover a little bit more in terms of what the D1 judge does. So how it's worked out. So each element has an element value assigned to it. So it's A, B, C, all the way up to J, with values of A being 0.1, B being 0.2, etc., etc. Each element is also placed in an element group, grouped 1 to 4 on each apparatus. Volt is a little bit of an exception to this. We won't discuss that here. Probably go into more detail on it. Well, realistically, all it is the A volt has a value. That's all you really need to know. So CAS with a 1.5 twist is 4.8. Yuchenko double pike is a 5.2. It's stuff like that. Like you just get given the D score, essentially.
Hey guys, Winston here. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, please do leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you can. Also, if you want more gymnastic content from me, you can check out my Instagram at wpowell05 or my TikTok at winstonpowell5. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode.
A maximum of 4 of each element group can be added up to basically part of the top 8 counting elements. So only half of the routine can be of one element group. On parallel bars, if you do 4 above bar elements, say for instance Makuts, Diamidov, Stutz, and Healy. So those are 4 elements from group 2 on parallel bars. If you then do a lifter handstand, which is a B in group 2, you've got a C Stutz, C Diamidov, E Makuts, and a C Healy. That B lift therefore won't count because you've got 0.3, 0.3, 0.5, and 0.3. All of those exceed 0.2. So the lowest value of those 5 will be taken out and just not considered, even if the gymnast only has 7 skills total. Even if the gymnast has 7 skills total and 1 more could be added. Element groups. So if you've got group 1 element, you get a 0.5 bonus. If you've got group 2 or 3, it's a bit more complicated. So if you do A to C, you get 0.3. If you do a D, you get 0.5 for each element group. Then for group 5, you get the value of the element given as a bonus up to an E as of January 1st, 2026. So this year is still all the way up. So this year, if you did an F or a G, you'd get 0.6 or 0.7 added on extra. But next year, you only get the 0.5. So you get the 0.6 for the F dismount, but you only get 0.5 bonus. It can be quite hard to get your head around. So if you don't understand, then maybe try do some examples, for example. Maybe try and think of some examples. Like, for instance, parallel bars that I was mentioning before. If you only did the Diamidov above bar element, you'd be at a C, so you'd get the 3/10 bonus. But if you did the Makuts as well, you'd get the 0.5 for the Makuts, but then you'd also get the 0.5 bonus for doing a D plus value element. So you've got the element value and the element group bonus. 2 very separate things. And you get given both for any given skill if you only have that one element group type. Let's say we've got a routine of an A group 1 element, a B group 2 element, a D group 2 element, a C group 2 element, 2 C group 3 elements, another B group 1 element, and then a D dismount. So A is 0.1, then you get 0.2 for the B, so 3. Then you had D, so 7. Then you have C, which is 10. Then you have the 2 Cs, which is 16. Then you have B, which is 18. And then you have the D, which is 22. So you have 2.2 for the top 8 counting elements. Then you consider the element groups. So if you have a group 1 element, so you get 0.5. You have a group 2 element, so you at least get the 0.3. Is it D value group 2 element? So you get the 0.3 for certain. Is it D value plus? Yes. Then you get the 0.5. So group 2, you've got the 0.5. Group 1, you've got the 0.5, so you're at 1 mark right now. Then you move on to Group 3. You had C value was the highest value, so you only get 0.3 for that one. And then the dismount, you had a D value dismount, which means you get 0.4 for the dismount group. So you're at 1.7 added to that. So 2.2 plus 1.7 equals 3.9. That would be the difficulty value, or the D score of that routine. Very simple in theory, in my mind, because I'm good with it. But in practice, you just have to think about what element group values you're getting and how to maximize the value. I'll go a bit more into routine construction in a future episode and what my process is with it. So those values are all totaled, giving it a D score. So that's the difficulty score essentially done. Now move on to the E score. There's a lot less to say about this one because it's just about deductions. They judge it against what a perfect routine would look like. They start at 10 and they start deducting from there. So a full would be a mark. Huge deduction is a 0.5. Medium deduction is a 0.3, and a slight difference in aesthetic or like just slight mistakes are 0.1. So 0.1s are the most frequent. Then it, like, in theory, should reduce in frequency from there on. You realistically should not see any mark deductions in medal-winning routines. This, of course, is contradicted by the Olympic final on the horizontal bar in 2024 because nearly everyone fell. 6 people fell, 2 people got a bronze medal. Because, again, in terms of score placements, they had identical E score and D scores, so they didn't know what to do, so they just tied them. Tang Xiahong fell on his Casina and Zhang Boheng fell on his dismount, which was weird. 5 people fell on their dismounts out of 8 who were in the final. And these people are the best of the best. It's like actually crazy how many fell. But that's just gymnastics for you. Anything can happen. Mark deductions should be the least frequent, and 0.1 deductions will be the most frequent. Like they're everywhere in pretty much anything you do. Like there's never going to be a routine that's completely devoid of them. In the book, I'll go into more detail of what those deductions actually look like, what to avoid, but there's a lot to cover there. So I'll just leave it with that for now. You know enough at this point. There's a lot there in the general section, and then there's also the apparatus specific one. So there's a lot to go into. If you want to know the specifics, either look at the coda point. Mind you, it's a lot more spread out in the coda points than it is in the book, but it's all there. So if you want to know them, they're all there. And if you don't and you just want to chance it, that's probably fine too. Like, you don't need to know all the deductions that can possibly be taken off of you. You know what perfect looks like, so you just strive to achieve as close to that as possible. That's normally a good way of doing it. If it looks less than perfect, there will be a deduction. That's just how it is. Hey guys, I may have mentioned it already. I've written a book. It's called The Game of Gymnastics, Understanding the Game. And it's about all things that you'll see on the TV when you find gymnastics on there. From the apparatus to the scoring to the competition formats, even like the routine construction that you'll find there. Now, it's great for anyone who wants to understand gymnastics more, or even gymnasts and coaches that want to think about how they might construct routines a bit better. I learned some new things when I wrote this book, and I know the sport very well. Some things about deductions and some things about like the apparatus specifically. So if you want to learn more about the sport, I would suggest you go check it out. It'll be in the descriptions or the show notes below. If you join the waitlist early, you can get an early bird discount of 10% if you essentially pre-order it now. And I will let you head back into the episode. Enjoy. So now penalties. This is the final part of the scoring system. These are taken either at the end of a final score or the end of a all-around score or a team competition. So all totals added up, take away the penalties, and then you get the final score. I might refer to D scores as start scores as well. Didn't mention that before, but I might do just in future. Because if I talk about start score, I'm talking about D score. If I talk about final score, I'm talking about the D score, E score, penalties, stick bonus, all added together. If I talk about E score, I'll call it an E score. But yeah, so there's a lot of penalties that you can take. It's essentially just anything disrespectful to the judges, coaches, other gymnasts, that sort of thing. Anything that seems wrong, like so attire violation, so not wearing a leotard and longs or shorts for specific apparatus. Best example of that is Fred Richards, who is actively trying to change the attire that we have to wear as gymnasts. He's actively trying to make a change, and that's only a 0.3. You might think it's more, but at the end of a final score, or like apparatus final, whatever, then the 0.3 would be taken. Non-respective warm-up times, or for like taking 30 seconds either before the start of the exercise after the green light or after a fall, that sort of thing. 30 seconds would be 0.3. 60 seconds means you just don't do that apparatus. But it is something to mention that the timer only starts when you stand up after the fall. So if you fall onto your back on high bar or front on high bar, then you can take a sec just to recuperate essentially before you then stand up and then do it again. There's lots, and I cover them all, not in loads and loads of detail, but I basically just quote the code of points. One more section to penalties actually is that the coaches can also get penalties too. It's just undisciplined behavior, like basically giving gymnasts directions while they're on the apparatus, essentially giving them coaching points while they're actively competing. That is 0.5 penalty and like a yellow card, like a warning. A second violation of that, they get taken out. So it is interesting to note that coaches are not allowed to shout up at you while you're competing. And yeah, so you've got E-score, D-score, penalties, bonus, stick bonus. All of those added together give you your final score. In all-around competition, you've got 6 apparatus. All of those added together gives you your all-around total. Highest of that wins. Like, realistically, that's how scoring works. There are a lot of nuances and apparatus-specific things, but it's too much to cover right now. But that's the basics of what you need to know about scoring. And that will get you through enough. If you want to know specifics and if you want to know more, either continue listening to the podcast. I'll go into competition, like as mentioned, I'll go into competition formats, routine construction, which is a bit more like practical, but I still think it works for this book. Then also all 6 apparatus. So floor, pommel, rings, vault, parallel bars, and horizontal bar. I'll probably do them in order. So I'll end with horizontal bar, which is great because it's my favorite. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So this is a bit more experimental, and I did want to just start with the basics. So because I know not many people will know the basics, even when they do listen to this podcast. So if I give everyone like a baseline, solid knowledge of what we're talking about, then I think we stand in good stead. And it feels good to be back. Like, it feels good to be recording again and talking again about gymnastics rather than just writing it out. So yeah, I feel pretty good about being back. I hope you're all good too. Again, if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed what I'm talking about and you think you want to know more, then do buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's in the description. But yeah, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and comment what you want to know about next. If you want to know any more specifics, if you want me to write another book about something else, then feel free to let me know. I do want to hear all the feedback. And if you want a specific guest or specific topic to talk about, then please let me know as well, because I want to give you what you want to know on this podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy the show, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.